Welcome to Power Women of the Trades podcast. This show is all about breaking barriers and changing the game. Our guests will feature some of today's most successful female entrepreneurs and other advocates of our industry as well. Because if there's one thing we know for sure, female-led entrepreneurship drives change on multiple levels. We want to empower women in the trade industry like you so you can maximize your potential, stay balanced, achieve long-term success, and claim ownership over your life. Let's get started.
I think one thing that's been really helpful with our team is doing our trainings where we talk about the costs to do the job and we talk about the costs of training and we talk about those things. So it's really kind of understood. So then when those conversations come up of they promise this, it's like, okay, but you've seen the numbers, right? So how would that be, right? Because you've seen them. Where would that come from? Is there a lucky pot in the back? We would like to sign up for the lucky pot in the back.
Maybe a pot of gold.
Right. We're waiting on that.
We're waiting. Okay. So Cassie, we're talking about culture, talking about recruiting, talking about all those things that we think that we're doing for our team, or we know that we're doing. What do you guys do for like your employee engagement and your internal recruiting? No, I'm messing it up. Marketing, your internal marketing.
There we go.
I had to dig deep for that.
Y'all learned this at the marketing conference y'all were at.
Yeah, your internal marketing, right, Kaylee? Is that right? Where you're marketing to your employee? Internal marketing, I think
employee engagement.
Anyways, we'll call that employee engagement.
We're going to go with it.
Yes.
We're going to go with it.
Yeah.
We have really started focusing on that about 5 years ago. We've won one of the best places to work in the state of South Carolina. This is year 5, which is really exciting. And it's based on an employee survey. So like we don't have any impact on the results other than what we've done in order to get the employee to fill out the survey and the answers that they're giving.
Right.
It's based on personal experience. So we've ranked for the past 5 years for one of the best places to work in the state of South Carolina. And we make it concerted effort every day. Fun, work hard, play hard is actually one of our guiding principles. This industry is brutal, right? Especially in the summer for HVAC and plumbers, the ones out there digging the ditches and installing the sewers. It's a really, really hard job. Yeah. And I think sometimes we lose sight of that. And, we have a party once a quarter and we feel that that's significant enough. And it's not. I mean, it's really fun. Like we've done luau's, we've done silent discos, we had a marching band, we had fire breathing, still walking candy canes at a party. We've done some really amazing parties and everybody has a really great time. But I think it's important for people to realize it can't just be like a once a quarter event. It has to be woven into the fabric of your culture. Has to be who you are, having fun. So we, have people go around and make TikTok videos. I'm out in the warehouse taking pictures of people all the time. When people come on board, they're filling out their employee information sheet with like their favorite teams, their favorite snacks and stuff. So when I do ride-alongs, I bring that stuff to them. And they're like, you remember that? I'm like, yeah, I remember that. I mean, it's on the sheet, but it's important stuff. And, I think especially when you work for an organization that's over 100 people, your expectations are maybe not that high. Like how would the one person in charge know something personal about me when I've only worked here for 3 months?
Right.
And that's kind of my goal, is to make sure that I get to know everybody on a personal level. I am the face of the organization and it's really important for me that they know me.
Right.
And when they come in every day, I make sure I say hello to everybody and I have a personal conversation with them, ask them what's going on. We do team building events at least twice a year for the departments. Last weekend, we took our install department out to a lake and we had barbecue catered in. We had paddle boards and kayaks and canoes, and it was the installers and their families.
That's awesome.
And it was like, it was nothing big. The cost is what it is, but it was nothing astronomical, but just the people that came up to me and they're like, thank you so much.
Cool,
and even the install manager, he was like, thanks for letting us do this. And I was like, you're welcome,
Right.
but you guys earned this. So just remember,
Right.
you know, I'm not letting you do anything. You guys earned this, and you deserve a lot more, but this is what we're able to do right now. You've worked really hard all summer, and we want you to enjoy that. And it's not just about you, it's about your family.
And
like, bring your wife.
It's more than just like you. I've actually been to the LimRic's facility, and when I was at the marketing event, but it's more than just, it has to be more than just you. If it was just Cassie doing everything, then it would be respectfully not very great, because when you have 100 people and you only have one person with that focus, it's just never going to stay together. But when you've got the rest of the managers on board and they're doing those things, like, and it's the little changes. You can make changes in your management team and it costs you zero money. You know, one of my biggest pet peeves is if there are technicians still in the building, I expect all the managers to be up and around and out in the warehouse and talking and BSing and doing whatever and having conversations. If we're not doing that and we're tucked in an office, that just says that your job is more important than mine and you're in an office, you know, and those conversations, your employee engagement is more than, they love the parties, right? Everyone loves the parties. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're pretty well known for our parties. Our Christmas party is pretty lit. And, I mean, people have come to work for us and they're like, I've already heard about your Christmas party, right? But that's only one time a year. Yes, we do the baseball nights and we do Foodie Friday every other Friday in the summer, and we do all these other things. But that Christmas party is only one time a year. But the relationship that you as the manager that are building every single morning, because you didn't just go tuck yourself in an office, or jumping in and doing the one-on-ones, doing things that are not necessarily something that they've ever seen done before, and then the key thing is being consistent with it. Because you come out and hang out with them in the warehouse before they leave today, but never again. They just say that you had checkmarked something off that Cassie or Oscar told you to do, and there was no real intent there. But now you're there every single morning building a relationship with me, and I know you, and I know that this is going on, whatever. That's a totally different experience. And me as an employee, I'm way more engaged.
Yeah. And like you said, it can't just be the person who's in charge, but what does the leadership team see? They need to see somebody model that behavior. Yep. And if that is my expectation of myself, and you are a leader of this team and you're not doing that, like,
right,
something is off here. Right.
Yeah.
If I'm making the effort and I can get out in the field and I can do the ride-alongs.
And still, absolutely. And, you know, we talk a lot about our team and at our office, our management team, for a while. It was not something that they necessarily wanted to hear, but they always felt so busy, and they couldn't do those things.
Right.
But what they were failing to realize,
or it gets pushed back to just not being a priority because you get caught up in everything else.
But, you know, we had to start reflecting, are you busy because you're busy, or are you busy because you're picking up someone else's crayon, or you're putting out a fire that you probably created because of a lack of training somewhere else? And those conversations are rough because no one wants to recognize that actually my complete insane schedule right now is 100% my fault. You know, no one wants to be like, I kind of created this. And so I've started asking those questions in one-on-ones with managers of like, okay, the chaos in your life right now at work, is it a you problem or a job problem? And normally it's probably me. Okay, then that's fine. But how do I help you get out of it? How do we go around and fix to where we can, because when you're not so distracted on the minuscule things, the things that you're like, I'll be like, so you're spending this much time on what right now? Like what, you know, but we see that. And it's really hard to go down that path real quick, but especially in our leadership team, we've got to help catch them and bring them out of that. And then ultimately all of the other pieces stay better aligned.
All right. Well, and I think we could circle that back around to, are we asking the right questions of our team, of the technicians, of our leadership team? Are we asking the right questions? Like, what are you spending your time on? And is that a valuable spend.
Yeah. One of the questions we did with all of our managers, we do the managers all managers one-on-ones once a month with us. They meet with Kelly or Rich weekly, but with me and Oscar, we meet with them once a month. And then Kelly and Rich, we meet with them once a week. And everyone's one-on-one, I said, do we have expectations on you that are unrealistic? Like, are we asking you to do things that are not realistic? And there was a couple that were like, okay, yes, no, and maybe, like, can you help me with this? And then there was a lot that were like, no, not at all. And that was helpful to me because sometimes I wonder.
That's a good conversation to have.
Because
you don't know where that's going to go, but it's important.
You don't know where it's going to go. And
it's like riding in the truck.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But it gives them, you asked them a question that they want to tell you the answer to, but didn't feel allowed to say it.
Right.
And now, and I think it goes with the technicians also. Are we asking you to do something that's not realistic? I always go to, because Oscar worked in the field for so long, and I'm like, we want the technicians to do this way. Can that happen? And he's like, no. Okay, why? He's like, because, yeah, or yes, they can. Or, hey, our price book says that they should be able to do this in 2 hours, but these people are saying it needs 4.5 hours. And he's like, we need to schedule a training.
That's a familiar conversation.
Yeah. But you have to, but if not, everything can just like spiral out of control. But again, and those conversations of, what expectations do we have on you that maybe aren't attainable, or however you word that, were sometimes just like how many hours are allotted to the job.
Right.
And it was not that the hours weren't enough. There wasn't enough training for it to actually be done.
Operational inefficiency that has nothing to do with the technician in the field that could have made it right.
And I think sometimes it's the fear of delegation, because a lot of times the department managers are former technicians, right? So they're used to being in control of their fate. They are producers by nature.
Right.
So to give up all of that control to somebody else is really scary. So, and when you move somebody from a producing role to a leadership role, their safe mode is back to technician mode. And it's really hard to pull people out of that and to get them to understand that it's okay to be vulnerable and admit that I can't do this. I need help. And you can ask anybody for help, but you have to be willing to ask for it. And it doesn't mean, it's not an admission of defeat by any means. Like, I think that's a true sign of leadership.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do this alone and I need your help. Like, I respect that a whole lot more than I do somebody trying to take everything on by themselves and never ask me for help and constantly drowning.
Yeah. Right. Asking for help is wisdom.
A service.
Right.
Yeah. So what is next for Cassie? What are your goals? What are you doing?
I keep getting this question a lot. I'm passionate about training and I love to be in front of people and educating people. The ride-alongs, I have so much fun. I mean, don't get me wrong. I hate being in an attic. It's hot. It's miserable, but it gives me a newfound respect for what our people do every single day.
Right.
So when I hear a dispatcher say, just run the call, and I'm like, hey, this is call number 4 today, and the heat index is 110.
Yeah.
So unless you've been in an attic recently, we might want to adjust our tone.
I hate when I hear dispatcher or someone, not even dispatcher, someone in the office does say, it's so cold in here. And I'm like,
and that's something I've learned from being in the field. Like, I used to complain about how cold it was, and I refuse to do it anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not going to complain about how cold
They're
it is.
like, praise Jesus, it's cold in here
right
now. Thank you for that.
I will put in the sweater, but it's just, I think it's just kind of sparked. I've always loved training, and I've always been relatively good at it and building a team. And I would love to kind of expand on that. I have aspirations. I'm doing a speaking event next month. This is my second podcast.
Oh, that's awesome.
2 months.
Yeah.
So who knows what's on the horizon for me, but I would love to keep doing stuff like this and continue on my journey with my ride-alongs, and maybe I can expand on that beyond my career.
And we'll probably get to see you next month. Is it next month? No, it's October.
Are you going to super meeting? She said no.
Not determined yet.
No.
TBD.
Well, I have the speaking event next month in Napa, and then
I'm sorry. Are we? There's speaking events in Napa? Wait a second. Is this what we're calling it now when we go do wine tastings?
Yeah.
I have a speaking event in Napa.
Yeah.
Me too.
You're welcome to come.
Okay. I love that. That's awesome. I wish we were having events in places like Napa.
Yeah. Quit taking us to Vegas.
Or
people.
Phoenix.
Or Phoenix or Miami.
Napa.
Miami, okay, but like.
Well, Cassie's starting it. Look, we need to go to her podcast from her event.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the cool thing is we're taking most of our leadership team that could go.
That is so fun.
So it's kind of like a team building event, and they're there to support me in my first public speaking event. And they know that I love doing stuff like that.
That's
I'm
awesome.
really passionate about it.
That's awesome.
So I'm excited to share the experience with them, and who knows what the future will bring.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today.
We are super excited to see what continues to happen in your career in the trades. And thank you for doing all that you're doing to help the future leaders of our industry and helping other women get involved. And we can't wait to see how you continue to grow.
Thank you guys for having me. It's been an honor and a pleasure, and it's nice to see you both again. And
thank you.
Hope to catch up soon.
For
Absolutely.
Sure. Thanks.
Thanks, Cassie.
All right, thank you guys.
Bye.
This has been Power Women of the Trades. Like what you hear so far? Leave us a review in Apple, and make sure to listen to our other episodes wherever you enjoy listening to your podcasts. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.